parental loperbole syndrome survivor, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice. We got to mandate get it on. Jeff Dunham in studio. Always great to see you.
Thanks for having me,
Jeff.
Who was here last?
Because Clay Aiken.
Really? That makes sense because the microphone smells like Clay Aiken.
It does. You could tell
somebody didn't refresh their breath before they came on.
So if I said to you Penn Jillette was here last, you Jeff Dunham would go. No, it smells a little more like Clay Aiken. And I would go, wow, that is amazing.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Jeff is one of the good guys because not only is he funny and he consistent, I mean, prolifically, the amount. How many specials are you on?
On number 13 right now. But these aren't like we're punching them out like kids or something. These are ones that I work on. It's not like I do just current topic stuff. It's stuff that I really concentrate on and try and make funny and stuff that'll have legs 10 years from now.
It's called Jeff Dunham's Scrooged Up. It's available now on Amazon. I've been seeing clips of it everywhere, so I think somebody's doing their job.
It must be just your feed because I haven't seen them.
I got the Jeff Dunham feed. So I like, and also Jeff you make all your own characters.
I build the dummies, yeah.
The dummies,
yeah, I do. So I've been doing that since the 6th grade, and I don't know. I have fun with it, but it's just like that with writing. It's like you're like everybody, you probably hate it, right? To sit down and write, you probably hate it. Most writers, whether it be a novelist or a playwright, they say they hate it. But then once you get going, it's like this amazing thing happens. And when it starts, the words start to fill the page or the screen, it's like, wow, this is great. Why don't I do this more often?
So the thing about comedians, now, I guess there's a difference between ventriloquist comedians and comedians versus musicians versus magicians, which is comedians are inherently lazy. They're not good students.
Right.
They don't like the structure. They don't like homework. They don't like standardized testing. They want to go on stage and freeform it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But for what you do, and what I do, but especially what you do, it requires you sitting and studying. Well, essentially, it's homework, but it's your own lesson.
Yeah, but it's a dialogue on stage. It's a team. So really, when you've done what I do for long enough, you start to think in two people, and it's not that hard. Mm-hmm. Because so I for all these years, when I first moved to Los Angeles in '88 and started going up at the Comedy Magic Club, and then dying 1,000 deaths at the Melrose Improv, I realized I wasn't going to get anywhere until I started writing stuff that was funny and not just clever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I couldn't drink a glass of water and make the dummy talk and expect to have a career out of that. Mm-hmm. So there had to be jokes and there had to be conflict and there had to be, tension and the whole thing that builds good comedy.
Is that when you travel and you do comedy, you get the difference between the LA crowd, the New York crowd, and then the Wisconsin crowd and the wherever. There's a difference.
Yeah, but what I think growing up in Texas where I did and doing shows for growing up doing shows for Cub Scout banquets and church shows and talent shows, I think I have a different sensibility than the guy who at age 18 or 19 says, I'm going to get on stage and be a stand-up and I'm going to hone my craft in a comedy club. Those are two different schools of two different colleges. So I think when I write stuff, I'm no Dennis Miller. I saw a review of my special where the guy complained that his writing is lazy and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, this is like going to McDonald's and saying they don't have Chardonnay.
Right. Right. No, I feel that way with movie reviews all the time where they go, sure, it had a lot of laughs, but, and it's like, it's a comedy. Right. Leave it alone.
Right.
If it had a lot of laughs and it's a comedy, then we're done.
Right.
and don't give it a bad review. And then there's other movies that are just sort of as is. You know, you go see Fast and Furious. It's what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's McDonald's. It's a Big Mac, quarter pounder, large fries. Like, that's what it is.
Leno hates those movies because they're so ridiculous. But that's why some people love those movies, because they're so ridiculous.
I've seen them all 30 times because they're ridiculous.
Right.
And when I hear lines like Vin Diesel delivering in earnest that he lives his life a quarter mile at a time, I marvel. I marvel at it because I'm like, he's serious when he's saying that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I love that.
Right.
I literally, I was doing Hannity the other night, and he's like, Sylvester Stallone was coming on after me.
Right.
And I said, look, I don't know what you're doing with my segment, but let's get to Stallone. You know what I mean? What are you wasting time hearing my words? Stallone is on deck. You'll have more time with Stallone if you cut my thing short. And then I told him that Cobra was the best movie made in the last 75 years. Sean Hannity has no sense of humor, so he doesn't know what I'm talking about. But I watched this shit out of Cobra because it's so ironically 80s bad,
right?
That it's not, you can watch the first Rambo First Blood. It's a good movie,
right?
Which is fine,
right?
But you shouldn't watch it 50 times to find all the horrible nuances in it. So I like it, but I have a sense of humor. You probably like it for that reason. Yes,
sure.
Jeff Dunham is Jeff Dunham. That's what the thing.
Right, and that's what they should expect when they come to the show. It's just goofy, stupid. And look, here's the other thing: when I do a special, again, like you said, 13 of them, we'll tape 2.5 hours. That's how long my live show is. It's 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. And so when you edit it down for TV, that's 42 minutes.
Right.
Well, what are you gonna keep? You're gonna keep the biggest laughs,
right? And
that's it. I'm not trying to tell a story. So when it ends up being, guess what gets the biggest laughs? Some of the stupidest jokes.
Yeah. No, it's sometimes sad. Mm-hmm. I know I had this flashback one time. Jimmy and I were doing the Man Show,
right?
And we had this bit or idea or whatever, and we got up there. And the setup was sort of like everyone's got a corny dad, and the corny dad has all his corny dad jokes that we're all tired of. Like, excuses are like assholes. Everyone has one and they stink. And then the audience erupts in laughter. And I'm like, no, that was an example of a bad... Okay.
Yeah.
You laughed real hard at the bad, corny dad joke, and then you're editing it. Yeah, and you go, well, got a big pop.
Huge laugh. We got to keep it. Sure. And then you look back at Monty Python, and that was some of the stupidest stuff ever. But it was, man, what a following. And I don't, we were like, what, junior high school when they were at their peak?
Yeah.
And so was it just us, or was there an adult crowd that loved them as much as we did?
I never said this or thought about it, but I think I have Monty Python as sort of the Pink Floyd of comedy for me, which is like, I realize they're good.
Right.
But they're sort of so far out, like that I don't know what person, but I like some Pink Floyd, like Life of Brian. I like Holy Grail.
Right.
I like, and then sometimes it gets so, that parrot's alive, and it gets so weird and disjointed.
Sure.
That I'm going back and just watching SCTV or Get Smart or something that has some sort of basis.
Sure.
In reality.
No, I get it. I was not a huge Monty Python fan, but that just like you mentioned, there's a handful of the pieces of their work that were just great.
I love it.
And you're right. Sometimes the TV show was like
abstract comedy. Abstract.
Yeah. Maybe it's a British thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like. So you have a workshop. Mm-hmm. You have your cars. Mm-hmm. You drove the Cybertruck here.
I don't want to talk about the Cybertruck in too glowing terms because it is a little embarrassing. But I got to tell you, I was not going to get a Cybertruck, not going to get it, because it's not a real pickup truck. It is, but it's not.
Right.
If you're a truck guy, that is not your vehicle. You know what I mean? It's nerdy guys going, I'm going to get a pickup truck, or I'm going to get a pickup truck.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
it's not, I got an F-250. That's a truck.
I got a 350 dually
There
diesel.
you go. Those are trucks. But I will say, we had as a family, I have two little boys, twin boys. So growing up, they had the X. We had the X, and it was great with the doors and the whole thing. But like the self-driving thing, it tried to, finally when I said, okay, let's see if I can do it, it tried to kill me 4 times in one day.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God. It was horrible. So we sold it, got rid of it, and then they came out with the Cybertruck, and I'm like, no, this is just stupid. It's cool, but it's ugly. It's all those things. And no, I'm not going to. No, I'm not going to. And then one of my buddies had it wrapped. It was my business manager, and he had it wrapped in that army green. And now it looked like a giant toy. And I'm like, oh, you have a sense of humor that I didn't know you had. All it was missing was some molded metal or something on the back.
He wrapped his Cybertruck.
Yeah. And I'm like, now it's kind of cool to me because obviously you're not taking yourself or this truck very seriously to make it look like a giant toy.
Yeah.
So then I started to consider it, and then I went and I said, okay, and got one. And I got to tell you, of all the Tesla technology, they dumped it in that truck, and it is. Have you driven one?
No.
It is fun. Forget that it's a freaking pickup truck. And the
Right.
self-driving, I drove all the way here without touching the steering wheel.
Really?
One of my sons and I went to the hockey game and the Kings, and I was dead tired. I had like 4 hours of sleep the night before. So we drove out of the parking garage, and I said, I'm going to see what this thing can do. And I hit go home. And that's a long way from downtown to Calabasas. And the only time I touched the steering wheel was when it almost rammed through the gate in our community because it didn't see the little 2x4 going across the thing.
Right.
But it was unbelievable. So the self-driving thing it's the future. If every car was self-driving, traffic jams would be gone and accidents would be 95% eliminated.
I completely agree. People do a sort of, well, hold on, what about this dystopian future or whatever? And I'm like, well, what are you comparing it to? Because I drive here every day and there's idiots texting and falling asleep at the wheel and every manner of horrible driving, plus creating traffic because they don't signal or they don't know it's legal to turn right on a red or whatever it is. So what are we really comparing this to?
Right.
Half the people in LA can't drive, but half the people from LA aren't from the United States. And I tell people all the time, and everyone thinks they don't listen to me, but here's the thing. People say all the time, why can't we win at soccer? Our athletes are the best. Why can't we win at soccer? And then somebody goes, we didn't grow up with generations playing soccer. This is a relatively new thing for us. These other countries grew up playing soccer. That's why they're good at soccer. All right. I feel that way about driving. We're good at driving because we grew up driving. Your grandfather was on a donkey 10 minutes ago, and now you're in front of me on the 101, and you're not used to it. It's a cultural thing. And LA is lousy with people who shouldn't be driving. You ever see those women whose head barely makes it to the headrest, and they're of some bizarre culture where there's some cultures that the women look confused all the time,
and they have a mask on.
They're wearing a mask inside alone, giant sunglasses, and they're holding the steering wheel as if for some reason it looks like it's 8 feet wide the way they hold it, and they look like they're struggling to go in a straight line. That's what LA is. And if we had self-driving cars, it would fix that.
But I got to say, on the other side of things, my boys are going to learn stick.
Oh, good.
It's like, forget it. They're not going to get electric self-driving cars. They're going to have to do what you said and learn to frickin' drive.
Do you have the Batmobiles as we speak?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, one car I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm very curious as to your reaction, is a Vector.
The Vector.
The Vector, yeah. Every
hand-built supercar from the 80s into the early 90s.
Wow, look at you.
Early 90s.
It's pretty great. There were only 17 of them made.
Yeah, real. By the way, kind of the original Cybertruck because they're very slabby.
Yeah,
not
that
a
wedge.
lot of.
It's a wedge. It was that wedge era.
Yeah, they had an American V8 in there, didn't they?
It was the first American supercar.
Yeah, it's sort of hand built. Yeah, interesting car.
Yeah, the guy tried to make a go of it, and it was just didn't go anywhere. But, there it is right there.
There it is.
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah, very, very 80s and later 80s, maybe into the early 90s.
Yeah, and the dash is an F-117, straight out of an F-117.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much, you're sitting in the cockpit of an airplane at this point.
I want one.
It's a cool, they're cool pieces, and they come up now and again.
Hardly ever, yeah.
Hardly ever, but now and again, and they vary. I think there's one with a Lamborghini engine.
Yeah, that was the later ones when they took over in a hostile takeover and tried to make it happen, and it didn't go. They killed it. It made it really ugly. And
yeah, it's it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's very limited in production, and I don't think you're ever going to lose on that car. I don't know that it's ever going to be a $2 million car, but I would say for a guy like you, that's a cool investment. And it also fits with your theme, which is weird.
Well, I have some legit stuff, and I have some really oddball stuff, too.
You have a Ford GT that's purple.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That was nice of you.
That you have.
Was it you or no? It was you that made the comment. Yeah, it was pretty funny. We were at the Peterson for some event. I can't remember what he said.
Graham Rahal had one.
And he had a purple one.
He had a purple one.
His was a different purple.
It was a different purple.
Mine's a more manly purple. He had a more fuchsia purple.
Jeff said, I have the only purple Ford GT. And I said, Graham Rahal has a purple one. He goes, that's a different purple.
That's fuchsia. Mine is plum.
But the Batmobiles are what? Wait a minute. You got to look this up, Joe. And Joe, I need my my rundown here, I think. There was a Batmobile that either just sold or is going to sell. Not my rundown, my master sheet. There's a Batmobile that either just sold or is selling that they're trying to get a bunch of $2 million bucks.
No,
for
they're
something.
selling. Sorry, I'm trying to get my jacket off here. They're trying to sell 10 of them. And they got license.
10 of them.
10 of them. They're trying to get. They got a license from Warner Brothers. This guy's doing it, and they're going to sell 10 of them. Oh. And they are exactly 1-to-1 from the movie. Pretty close, anyway.
Oh.
And they want $3 million for it. So it's not street legal. So my question is, that's great, but what are you gonna do with it? You take it to a car show, and it's too wide. It's too wide to fit on a trailer to be legal.
Damn.
So you have to take the back tires off, and it's still too wide. So you have to have a wide load and an escort. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they're all going to go somewhere where there's a lot of sand.
Yeah, I don't like wide load and escort combined. You know what I mean? I like to take those two words and separate them a little bit.
I used to date those women, but
you should go to a escort service that's specialized in the wide load. You want to know how lazy I am? When I see the wide load going down the highway, it's the flatbed, semi truck with the double wide, home, modular home on the back or piece of earth moving equipment. And then there's a guy behind him in a Ford F-150 with like a flag on his truck. He just drives 100 feet behind him and it just says wide load. Mm-hmm. I always look at that and I go, that's my dream job. That's my dream job. All that guy does is just go straight ahead in a car that's not his and listen to the radio. That's all. He doesn't have to unload the shit when he gets there. Doesn't have to do anything. It's the lazy part of me. It's the Carolla in me that looks at that guy and goes, that guy's got life by the tail. Look at that sweet gig.
What does he do the rest of the time, though?
He sits and listens to the radio in the F-150. So
I got to say, though, the Tumbler is awesome. Because
is that what that one's called?
It's called the Tumbler. Yeah. So they had.
Wait, do you have one of those?
No. But I tried really hard to get one built. But I was this close with Warner Brothers on getting the molds from England at Pinewood Studios and having somebody do it, but it just kind of fell apart. That was 10 years ago.
Was that an actual vehicle, or did they build that specifically for the movie?
No, it was all, from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the one I saw, Joe, was the old version of the Batmobile, not the old second gen. I don't know. There's the one from the TV show, which is, a Ford Futura or something with a X on something.
And then the Keaton one is next. The Keaton one was kind of next.
Yeah, I thought the Keaton one was for sale somewhere, but you would know.
Well, the only thing that I think I know is they have the 2 hero cars still at Warner Brothers, and I have what was a screen used for still shots and for static when the car was static, and some pickup shots, and that's the one that I have.
And are you limited to one Batmobile, or do you have multiple Batmobiles?
Well, I got a really nice replica of the '66 of the Adam West one, and that's the one that still people go nuts over. That's the one that most people love. It's his goofy cartoon character, and it's just George Barris took the Futura and just did a few minor things to it, and it became the Batmobile. But they were important things they did. Added some scallops, took out the middle canopy, so it's just the front and the back. Added the flames in the back, and a few things here and there, and it was done very quickly for the television show, and it became that iconic thing that still people love. And then I have one of the last things George Barris built, and it's the Bat Smart. He took a smart car and turned it into a tiny Batmobile.
Oh, really? Yeah, Barris built the Monkeemobile. No? Did he?
There's how car guys are. There's controversies and arguments and
was that Dean?
Yeah. Dean Jeffries.
Dean Jeffries built the Monkeemobile.
I think so. I think that's right.
Well, okay, the Monkees had a mobile, and then what about the Munsters?
That's another giant argument.
Really? There's controversy.
I don't want to get in the middle of that one either. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know. So George Barris had a shop, still has a shop. He's gone.
That shop's gone now.
Oh, the shop's gone.
On Riverside, yeah.
Yeah, right, like North Hollywood. And then about 4 miles away up the hill on Cahuenga, Dean Jeffries was there. And Jeffries built cars. He had the truck, the super truck from Damnation Alley, parked in his parking lot for a million years. Jan Michael Vincent, great cinema. I watched it not too long ago. It's insane what used to be a feature film.
I was a friend of George, and I met him, probably 6 years before he passed away, and he was just a gentleman of a guy. You hear all kinds of terrible stories when he was younger, but everybody's testosterone is different when you're 30. So, just a sweetheart of a guy, and couldn't have been any nicer. And we went to Comic-Con. Warner Brothers sent all the Batmobiles down to Comic-Con one time, and they used mine because mine happened to be in better shape than theirs were at the time, and it was great. And Adam West was not there. He came later. Anyway, but yeah.
So, controversy with the Monkeemobile.
Wow.
And
I don't know. Look it up.
Okay.
Wait, 2 people are taking credit for it, or?
Well, if you would go to George Barris' shop, you would see pictures of the Monkeemobile up, but I didn't know there was this brewing controversy.
I'd have to find somebody that knows more than me, but
the internet may know the answer to this.
Give us the gossip, bud. Aren't both these men dead? So dead men tell no tales.
But there's family.
But Jeff Dunham does.
Yeah, but then you look like a moron if you tell the wrong side of the story.
So I look like a moron every day. I do the news here.
Well, I think George every once in a while would take credit for stuff that maybe he did do or maybe he didn't do. I don't know. I don't want to badmouth.
So couple things. One is the Munsters had 2 mobiles.
They had the grandpa's
dragster.
Yeah, the Dragula.
Yeah. Grandpa had a coffin dragster. Yeah. I don't know. The weird conceit. Like Modern Family didn't need a custom car. They needed a Taurus. You know what I mean? Like, it had to be, it'd be weird to have a guy who made sitcoms from the 60s talk to people who made sitcoms in 2007, and he'd be going, well, where's the car?
Right.
Where's the custom? Where's the Modern Family mobile?
Yeah.
And they'd go, it's just a car. It's just a regular car. But back then, you had to have your car.
Yeah. And it became part of the show. Yeah.
Was that a marketing thing? Like, I don't see. Did they sell toys back then? I don't even get it. I feel like that was like organic. They just were like, it would be really funny if Grandpa had a funny car.
The crazy thing is, there's a little of it. All right, it doesn't really exist. I think it exists in the rap community now. You get rich, you buy a car, you take it somewhere, and they do a bunch of shit to it that doesn't make it any better.
Oh, yeah.
But it's now yours.
And
it's
resale
custom.
will be
no
only,
resale.
Yeah, only to the fans, and usually the fans will never pay anywhere close to what you paid for it.
The way it would work, and I think this car came up for sale. So the way it would work is Lee Majors would marry Farrah Fawcett. This is back when white people used to do this shit. And they'd go, well, we're super successful and we're married. We need a car that is different than all other cars that came before us. So you buy a 308 Ferrari, I'll buy a Corvette. We'll take it down to George Barris. They'll paint it flake gold and put a plywood fin on it and put our initials in the headrest, and then we'll have a Ferrari and a Corvette that is bespoke.
Right.
And then that's what they would do. And then, I don't know, that's what you did when you got successful.
Is that right? All right.
Oh, well, you've been to a shop, right?
Oh, yeah, and it is
You see pictures of, like, rerun from What's Happening. Everyone brought their car there.
He had little 8.5 by 11 boxes all over the walls, from ceiling to floor, of every car that he ever built for every celebrity. And it would have the celebrity's name on it. He'd go and he'd pull that box out and then show you photographs and press clippings of that car. And it was amazing and fascinating. I don't know where all that stuff went. I think his daughter must have it now, but pretty great.
Yeah, well, TMZ looked into this.
Nice.
I'm sure this is probably one of their hottest stories of the year. And George Barris says he built the Monkeemobile, but Dean Jeffries built the Monkeemobile back in '66. Jeffries was given 2 Pontiac GTO convertibles and used for the project. Now, the thing about Dean Jeffries is Dean Jeffries had a real Ford, a GT40, sitting for a long time. Do you know this story?
No.
He had a car that's, 15 million bucks now, sitting in his shop, like in pieces, for a long time. Oh. And it was like a street GT40. It wasn't a race GT40.
And what happened to it? It
got put back together and bought by the guy who runs, I think, Mayhem.
Oh.
And he still hasn't, tries to sell it every once in a while, but there's like too many questions about it and people not sure if that's the real deal, because it was hard to document everything back then. But that's all I know about Dean Jeffries. And
that's like I said about the Monkeemobile. I don't know why anybody would claim to build something that they didn't build. So I don't know. I never heard George's side of the story. I don't know.
Stolen valor?
I guess.
Car valor? Stolen motor? I don't know what the hell you call
Stolen motor. So what else you got in your collection?
Let's see. Okay, so getting back to the Vector, there's a kind of a funny story where one of the engineers was walking through a parking lot, and they were designing this car and building this car, and he looked down and he said, there's a door handle right there that looks like it came off an aircraft. We don't need to bother R&D'ing a brand new door handle. Let's just find out who made those for that and put it on the Vector. So here you have this, multi-million-dollar Vector, first American supercar with one Japanese part on it, and it was the handle off a Subaru XT.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the Subaru was that was 85, I think, was their peak year of that. I think they had it. I don't know, I think 2 or 3 years. I don't know how many years they made that car, but it's another wedge vehicle from that time period, and it's another thing that looks like an aircraft on the inside, and so. I found the very best Subaru XT, and they're not around because, there weren't very many of them made and nobody would want to keep one. So we got it and you sit it right next to the Vector just so you go, what do these two cars have in common?
Oh, you got the Vector.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and it's the number 001, VIN 001.
It's the first Vector.
Yeah, the first one sold to the public, and it was sold out of 17, and it was sold to a Saudi Arabian prince. That's where it went. It was the first owner.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of great.
So you got the Vector, got the Batmobile, got the GT40.
And the Subaru.
Got the Cybertruck, got the Subaru. Let's not forget the Subaru. It's made with love. Although I don't know if they made them with love back then.
Was that their name? Is that their slogan now?
Their thing is the Subarus are made with love.
Wow, that's the current slogan.
Yeah.
Find me a Subaru commercial. They're made with love.
Made reference.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's important that your vehicle's made with love.
So many jokes.
Well, because I have to, I went and looked up what else Subaru makes, and they make attack helicopters for the Japanese army. So not with love. I guess they don't make everything with love.
Wow. Is
but
that
they do
right?
make their cars with love.
To make up for all the killing.
Yeah, they're selling them to dumb people who don't know anything about cars. So they're not going to give them a bunch of stuff about bonderized steel or, drivetrain warranties. And there is no city mileage and highway mileage. There's no warranty talk. There's no anything anymore. It's just good vibes.
Right.
Good vibes. Volvo does a lot of good vibes. Jaguar did we show that Jaguar commercial?
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, we did.
What has happened? What happened?
Look,
is it
just
one guy?
Yeah. You're just not woke enough. You don't understand.
Oh, my gosh. And then the concept car they just came out with was yesterday, day before they released a picture of it. What happened?
Oh, I didn't see
Yeah,
the
we didn't see
concept
this.
car.
Oh, pull it up. It's like, it's everything you'd think.
The Jaguar concept
Yeah,
car.
and it's the reason they didn't show it in the commercial, I think, is
has
how it looks.
In-seat dildos? That's what you're saying?
Oh, my God.
It's a giant tampon.
No, can you guys pull it up? Let's see.
We tested this maxi pad in the wind tunnel. Turns out aerodynamically.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, my gosh.
All right. I have not seen this.
Yeah, well, Oh. It literally looks like if you said concept car, that's what somebody would draw.
Yeah.
Because it has no defining angles. It's like a long snoot, and I don't get it. I just...
But it's retailing? It's like selling now. Wow, that's wild.
No, is it? No, I think it's
No,
a concept.
no, it's not for sale.
I
It's
was
a
going to say,
concept
that
car.
is the concept. Okay.
What Jeff is saying is when you do a almost generic concept car, this is what it looks like.
I have that. I have it already. It's by Manscaped, I believe. Shave my balls with that car.
It just looks completely ordinary for a concept car, but this is how they do it.
What's that self-driving car? The company
Waymo?
No.
Waymo.
Is it Waymo?
It has
Is it
nobody
Waymo?
in there?
Yeah. So my daughter lives over there.
Are you guys seeing those cars all over the road, by the way?
Yeah, I am. In my area. I
Where do
live
you
by
live?
the Peterson Museum, and they're everywhere. Yeah.
So that's where my daughter lives over there, and she said, "Dad, I'm going to take a ride in the so-and-so because I might be drinking tonight." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Yes, it's responsible, but in that, you can do Uber." She goes, "No, this seems better. I don't have to deal with the driver." I'm like, So I went over there and did it with her, and it was just like okay, so from what I understand, it uses LiDAR.
It is the cars that we see with the
all the stuff,
rotation stuff,
all the stuff spinning, and all the radar and everything.
So this thing,
those are all
up.
driverless.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But
sorry.
my point is, it's a freaking Jaguar. So now I don't want to get in it anymore. But my experience, you got to try it sometime.
So tell us the experience.
Okay, so we're at her apartment, and she keeps looking at her phone, and she says, "Okay, it's almost here." I go, "All right." So we go downstairs, and here comes this thing driving down the road with her initials on the top.
Oh, wow.
LEDs or whatever it is on the top, and you walk up to it, and it says, "Enter the code in your phone." You enter the code in your phone. The doors open up, and the voice goes, "Welcome."
Wow. And there's nobody in the front seat.
But there's a steering wheel, there's a shifter.
Right.
It's not like Elon's new taxi that has no controls at all.
Right.
So you sit down in this thing, you can pick your air conditioning, you can pick your music, you can do all this stuff. So we're driving along, and it takes us over to, I can't remember where it went, but it's only like 5 or 6 miles away. But we pull up to valet, and I'm like, okay, how is this going to work? She goes, just watch. So it pulls us into this little narrow thing into valet, and there's people standing everywhere. And we get out of the car, and now the valet guys are standing in the way. And it's like, okay, what's it going to do now? She goes, just watch. And so it backs up a little bit, turns a little bit, backs up a little bit, horn beeps, the guys get out of the way, and it leaves. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
And then she said, nope. She said, what happens is when it gets stuck, like in a parking garage in a situation like that, it goes to master control where there's a guy driving it.
I was going to say, I thought
really?
that there was some dude at tech support in India driving the whole time.
Yeah, and not the whole time.
Okay,
but
not
he
the whole
sits there
time.
and gets it out of its problem.
But he's got an Xbox
And then another
controller.
time she was with it, and there was an accident, and a woman came, a live voice said, "Hi, Ashlyn." That's my daughter's name. She says, just hang on there for a second. We're trying to figure you a way out of this, and the car's working on it as well. So just don't get out of the vehicle. We know you're stuck, but it'll get you out of it.
There was an accident involving the car Ashlyn was in,
No,
or just in front of you?
No, in
or
front of her.
something?
And she was
Okay.
trapped in traffic and couldn't get anywhere. And she's and the
Wow.
woman says, "Don't worry, we're figuring it out. The car will figure it out. You'll have a new an alternate route momentarily. Just don't get out
How
of the car."
long before these conversations start to veer off a little bit? Like, Ashlyn, you should probably floss more. And
Not where I thought you were going, but okay.
tonally, the way you addressed your father was a little bit on the disrespectful side. He's provided a lot. And by the way, don't call them dummies or puppets.
Dummies is fine.
They are characters.
So, did someone...
Your father started with nothing. He was adopted. Very humble beginnings, and now he's taking care of you.
Did
and
you
your
review
family.
right before we walked out here? That's amazing.
I'm just saying, we are going to get to the place where they're dispensing bits of knowledge. And have you changed a filter in your central air system in the last year? Just bits of information, food for thought.
Where did you get that?
I was talking about it on this show, and I was thinking, because I'm obsessed with freeway signs and all the information that's a waste of time.
Wait a second. Before I came here, I changed the filter in our air conditioner.
You did?
Big Brother is watching you.
You don't need the sign.
Yeah, Big Waymo is watching you.
Oh, is that what it said?
No. Here's what I'm saying.
What's happening?
Okay, all right.
I don't know what's going on.
Here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
There's this city's lousy with freeway signs.
Of course.
They're every quarter mile.
I see where you're going.
Right?
Okay.
I would argue, let's say this. Is there ever been a woman you have been with, and I've been with a few women, and I've lived with women, and I've lived in domiciles that had central air where the woman said, "You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to change a filter for the central air because it's been too long." I don't think they know it exists. Do you?
Normally,
at some
no.
point,
I've changed it.
When the system, it's got cat hair and dander all over it, and it's black, right?
Right.
And then the women see it and they go, "Oh my God!"
Right.
And then you go, "Yeah, that's running all night during the summer, and the duct is right above your head." They don't know it, is what I'm saying. And the system is not running efficiently because the flow is bad, and you're burning kilowatts, and it's a scourge.
Right.
It's a scourge on our society. Like, we want to save electricity. Use your washing machine during non-peak hours. Right. We could save a ton of kilowatts if that sign said, "You got to change that filter, bitch."
Yeah.
Once a year. $8, Home Depot. Go get it.
I was
Go
still
do
a little
it.
freaked out. So it was just ironic. Just
No, we were mind melding a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, you did know from my bio that I'm adopted. You knew that because you said I was adopted.
I did.
Okay, all right.
That's on.
Just,
but it
like,
doesn't
three
have
things in a
anything
row
about.
happened.
Hold on. It doesn't have anything about you changing your filter.
Okay.
God damn it, Kyle. God damn it. Well, how many times have I said, if a guy's going to change his central air filter, I need it?
Okay. Have you ever had a moment in life where this was not close to that, but it was going that direction, where something happened? Just a thing happened, and you literally felt the world shift. Like, I think I'm going crazy. So here's my example. My wife and I were on the couch. We had a Jack Russell Terrier, and his name was Buddy, and he was an asshole dog. But we're sitting there, and he's at our feet. We're laying on the couch, the long couch, and he's at our feet, and it was a hot day, and the dog sits up and goes he goes, "Phew." And my brain went, oh my God, he's about to tell me it's hot.
Right.
He's about to actually speak because the noise that he made was completely human. Just, phew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that moment in time just shifted, and I literally felt like not dizzy, but I felt like my equilibrium go cuckoo, and like I was actually a crazy person. So
with Gus and me in the air conditioning, or just Gus? The dog, sorry. I mean, not Gus, Buddy.
No, just the dog.
Just the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm saying you were almost there because you said 3 things in a row.
I know.
And the final one was like, how the fuck did he know about my air conditioner?
You just did the filter. You know what I need? I will say this about your daughter and her relationship with transportation.
Yes.
Find an example, Joe. Oh, no, Dawson. Remember we were talking about, well, not always, but soca music? Remember that music? See, your daughter is going to have a sort of hands-free, carefree transportation existence, but what she'll never have is the crazy cab driver and the tapestry of crazy conversations and music and smells and
no, that's why she
stories.
switched. That's why she switched. She was tired of all that.
Oh, she's had some of it.
Oh, hell yes.
Because future generations are not, I had a...
No, she'll call me. She'll call me and say, Dad, look at my location. I'm in a car with a really creepy guy, and I'm not getting a good feeling right now, so just watch where we're going.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Future, those are Uber guys.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you're born today, you're never going to experience the cab driver. The crazy person who's sitting up there is telling you God knows what. And I've heard it all.
Religious iconography all over the dashboard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like when I was doing a show years ago in St. Paul, I thought I was doing the show in Minneapolis, and it was like St. Paul. And oh, no, I wasn't staying in Minneapolis, but the show was in St. Paul, and it was at Garrison Keillor's theater.
Okay.
You must have played there at some point in your career.
At Garrison Keillor's theater. I used to listen to him a lot, but I didn't know he had a theater. Is he still alive?
Theater. I think he got Me Too'd, but he got sort of, no one knew what it was about.
Oh.
Like, he was one of those guys, he got kind of Al Franken'd. Like,
oh, really?
Like, I don't know what Garrison Keillor did. Like, he doesn't really know what he did either.
That's too bad.
They tried to, like, find out if Garrison Keillor's still alive.
He's alive and touring.
Oh, he's touring. Oh, he's going to be at the Jeff Dunham Theater this weekend?
Nice.
That's a very small theater in Kentucky.
He's got it's 1,000, I don't know, it's a 1,000-seater, 1,200, whatever. It's a beautiful theater.
Sure.
But I was walking through Minneapolis, and I was told the show started at 8. Mm-hmm. And then I got the frantic call at about 6:30 as I was 3 miles from the hotel walking. Show starts at 7.
All right.
So I had to like run back to the hotel, and the thing was jump in the cab and get over here as fast as you can. But there was all this road work going on, and we were sitting in traffic. But the guy who picked me up was named Habib. And
Hell yeah.
The music he was pumping in his cab, do you have soca? I didn't know what this was. That's the point. It's like, you thought reggaeton was the most annoying music ever conceived. You can do more annoying.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, I love it.
He's got this cranked up, right? And like, I'm on the phone with Mike August, and he's like, "Where are you? The show starts in 9 minutes." And I'm like, I don't know. And at some point, I do this one too. I go, Habib, can you turn it down a little bit? I'm on the phone, and he turns it down 1 notch. You know what I mean?
Habibi, I'll get you there.
By the way, can you turn it down a little bit? Means shut it the fuck off. I'm on the phone, but I'm trying to be nice, you know?
My cousin's
Turns it down. And so he's got this playing. Go ahead, Dawson. He's got this playing the whole time. And so at some point I go, what is this? What is this called? And he's like, soccer music. And I go, what is soccer music? They played it like stadiums? No, the soccer. And I'm like, where would you play? Why are you playing it? And you're a 57-year-old dude driving alone in Minneapolis in a cab. Why is this cranking? What is this music? And he goes, it's for a man and a woman. They make love. You know, they make love. They meet on the dance floor. And I go, yeah, okay, that's good, but we're not. That's not us, Habib. That's not us. That's not. It's a man and a woman. A man meets and makes sweet love to the woman. And I was like, oh, okay, but if you're born today, you'll never talk to Habib. Right. You'll never know. I didn't know what soca. How do you spell it, Dawson? Is it
SOCA?
Can you send
I
me
didn't
that
know
track,
what
Dawson?
it was. And what do? You just Google most annoying music ever, and that's just what comes up?
I actually looked for SOCO.
And where's it
said,
from?
did you mean SOCA?
Where's it from? It's from a place that doesn't make cars, that has no rocket program, no
Senegal?
space program. I don't know where it's from. I just know you cannot build anything of precision
With that
or
in the
do any
background.
math
Yeah.
equations. It's not from Germany. They got rockets and an Autobahn and a Porsche and an Audi.
But you can make love.
It has to be a place where you eat a lot of fruit for breakfast and you make sweet love in the afternoon. It's hammock-based. It's a hammock-based culture. There is no Air Force where this comes from. That's my guess. I don't know exactly where it's from. Its inventor is Soul Calypso, influences African and East Indian rhythms. But where's it really hail from?
Senegal.
Do we know?
He's got nothing.
I'm like yelling into the phone. Mike's yelling, "Where are you?" I'm stuck in traffic, and I'm like yelling at Habib, "Turn it down." Is they make love. This is for making
No
love.
thanks. So you know another thing that most people will never experience growing up now is hitchhikers. Did you ever pick up hitchhikers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
I used to pick up hitchhikers. Just like I don't remember.
What was your
I remember
worst?
getting picked up as a hitchhiker.
Oh, you actually hitchhiked.
I got my motorcycle towed, and I
Oh.
needed to get back to my apartment. So I
Right.
just
Dude, I pick
hitchhiked.
up hitchhikers all the time.
You still do?
Yeah, I just pat them down for pistols, and we're good.
Really? Even the ladies?
Yeah, especially the ladies.
Here's all that I only remember this from picking up a hitchhiker. I said to a guy once, I picked him up my pickup truck, you know, lumber rack, bed box, tools,
Right.
you know.
Right.
He said, "Oh, you're a carpenter." I said, "Yeah, I'm a carpenter." He said, "Oh, I'm a carpenter too." I said, "Oh, what do you do?" And he's like, you know, commercial, tenant improvement, framing, foundation, drywall, finish, cabinetry. You know, I do it all. And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I haven't worked for 6 months." And I remember I didn't say anything, but I was like, "Oh, because you suck." Like if you're a good carpenter, you're never out of work.
Right.
My phone never stopped ringing when I was a carpenter. I didn't advertise and do anything. It's just you're a good carpenter, you will find people will find work for you. So I remember that. I also kind of remember the super ambitious signs. Like I'm driving down Laurel Canyon, the Ventura Freeway, heading north on Ventura, and someone would be standing out there going, "San Francisco?"
Right.
And it's like,
Sick.
Right.
wow, that's 430 miles. That's pretty fucking ambitious of me. I'm going to drive you to the Bay Area.
Yeah.
We're in Studio City, man.
HOV lane the whole way.
There's a good chance most people aren't going to make it to Encino from here. Not
Right.
San Francisco. People that have Oregon and stuff, like they would get super ambitious.
What's the craziest hitchhiker you ever picked up?
Well, my two favorites, there's one guy, and I was in Texas. I was going to Baylor. And one guy I picked up, and he was a Vietnam vet and just was not all there. And he just started rambling on about war and fighting. And he said one thing that I've never forgotten. And it was like, he says, I just think everybody should just eat a piece of fruit and forget it.
No,
So I've lived by that.
I'm curious,
sage advice.
who are the people who pick up people hitchhiking with nothing in it for them? You know, like I wasn't
Me.
I didn't pick up a hot chick trying to get laid or something. I was just like,
I did it for the amusement of it all.
You did it for the amusement.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah,
Just to be nice, just to have a conversation.
And weird shit happens every time. You know?
Well, I picked up this one woman once, and I don't know what was wrong with me. I was really straight-laced. I was a nice guy. I had a nice car. I was going to Baylor, so there was nothing creepy.
Yeah.
And I guess I picked her up, and maybe she was strung out on something. I don't know, but she got very angry with me.
Yeah.
And wanted out immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't know.
That's a weird one.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know whether she was looking for something that I wasn't offering. I don't know what it was, but the ride lasted about 3 miles.
I'll tell you what it'll do in place of hitchhikers in terms of the rich pageantry of life. Like, if you're just trying to meet weirdos,
right?
You get an apartment off an alley. You get an alley.
Oh.
An alley will work. An alley is like a conveyor belt for weird people who will be hitchhiking later on. But my garage was off the alley. And I spent a considerable amount of time in my garage wrenching on cars and doing God knows what.
Right.
And the alley is the preferred mode of transportation for weirdos because Laurel Canyon is right here. If you're an upright citizen, you just walk down Laurel Canyon. It's well lit and there's a sidewalk.
Right.
But if you're dealing with this sort of dicey, I owe people money. I don't want some dude driving by I owe money to, or the cops or anything. You're an alley walker.
So what was your best / worst guy that came in?
There was one guy, we're talking like 1983 or 4 or whatever. There's one guy who used to use the alleys, and he was a quick draw pistol 6-shooter expert.
Okay.
According to him. He competed in rodeos in quick draw competitions.
Was this a single conversation you had, or did he come by a lot?
I would talk to him semi-frequently.
Oh.
I would talk to a guy named Russ, who was a concrete finisher, whose brother-in-law lived down the alley a little further in an apartment and was a typewriter repairman. So
would you
imagine
enjoy
what he's
these conversations, or would you get irritated because they were interrupting you?
I didn't enjoy them per se because I was trying to muss around in my garage and wrench on my cars, and they would always pop their head in and sort of stand there and sort of, what's up, And,
hey, what you working on?
What you working on?
It's me, Aaron Oakley.
But some of the guys, like the guy who's a quick draw expert.
Aaron Oakley.
Yeah. Aaron Oakley.
Annie's little brother.
Annie's brother, Aaron, one day shows up with 2 casts on each forearm. on each hand.
On each hand.
Each hand.
Okay.
Each hand. And I was like, what's up? And he got thrown off a horse. And I was like,
of course he did.
So you're not going to be able to do the quick draw for a little while, I guess. And he's like, nope.
Or a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of quick draws
stuff's going to be back burnered until those casts come off. I just remember thinking the irony of a dude who made his living, I guess, in quick draw competitions, having he had 2 plaster casts on both forearms. I was like, it's a bad day. Like, I was like, if you can hold a beer, I got one for you.
I was going to say, it's a good thing he didn't ask you for help.
No, that's a good point.
That's the next alley.
Yeah, there was Russ who he'd have fights with his brother-in-law and want to come by and hang out. That guy crashed on my sofa.
You know what? This would be a great place to set up a camera and have some sort of show.
Yeah,
where people just wander.
That guy Russ was the best. He fell asleep on my sofa. I let him sleep on my sofa in my apartment. And in the middle, he was just sawing logs in the middle of it wasn't the middle of the night. It's probably 11 o'clock. He's just on his back, and he's just like, he's just snoring away. And I was just like standing, like looking at him, going, Jesus Christ. He was covered in. This guy was the best.
Covered in what?
Concrete dust and stuff.
Okay.
He was just plowed out on the sofa.
I was going to say ticks or something.
In the middle of his sleep, and he pops up, still asleep, hawks a loogie across the room and flops right back down again. He has no memory of it. He has no thoughts, but he just hawked one in my living room, which was awesome. Then the other memory of Russ is he would... my roommate had a Mickey Mouse phone, the kind that had Mickey. Remember the Mickey Mouse
stick
phone?
I know that one.
Yeah, it was like an old stick phone, right?
Yeah, shaped like Mickey Mouse. It was like 18 inches tall or whatever.
Yeah, and he was holding the
receiver. Right?
Yeah. And so Russ goes, I gotta call my old lady. Can I use the phone? I go, yeah, go ahead. It's right over there. And he goes, where is it? I go, it's right there. Just use the Mickey phone. He goes, what the fuck? I go, it's a phone.
Dude.
What the fuck kind of shit is this? I go, it's a phone. Where's the phone? I go, that's the phone. It's the phone. That's not a fucking phone. I was like, he was angry and perturbed that he didn't know what the Mickey Mouse was. Then he drove a Ranchero.
Oh, that's nice.
Not an El Camino.
Sure, the Ranchero.
The Ford version.
Yeah.
And the door was caved in on the driver's side, so he used to have to crawl out of the window and or leave out of the passenger side because it wasn't operable, the driver's side. And we were working on a concrete slab, because at some point I said, well, Russ, you're a concrete finisher. You can finish this slab for this kitchen I was building in North Hollywood. And it took all night. We didn't finish till like 8 at night. And Russ was covered with concrete dust, dried concrete. He was wearing up to his knees, up his thighs. He was covered. He was a mess. The guy was a mess. He had like a missing front tooth, and he was exactly how you're picturing him, right?
Right.
And so we pull up in front of the Golden Chopsticks in North Hollywood to eat Chinese food at 8 o'clock.
So you took him to dinner too. All right.
He may have paid his way. After a long day of concrete.
Right.
And we pulled up in his Ranchero with the caved-in door, and inexplicably, there's some hot 25-year-old chick just standing in front of the restaurant, like waiting for her boyfriend or her friend.
Right.
She's just standing there. And Russ goes, Jesus Christ, take a look at that piece of ass, And I go, yeah, she's good looking. And he goes, Jesus Christ, we should get on that, And I go, yeah, Russ, I don't think that's going to work for us, crawling out of the window and covered with concrete and everything. He goes, well, that's a fine piece of ass over there. I go, yeah, I know, Russ, but I'm looking at this guy's covered with shit. He's got a beat-up car. And then I go, Russ, let's just go in and eat. And he looks at me and he goes, what's the matter? Don't you like pussy? He acted like I was turning it down. I was just going. He was great.
Yeah,
Russ was great.
I love this guy's confidence. Yeah, a dose of that. It's covered in concrete, dust, no front tooth. What's up, baby?
Later on, he'd show up. We're pouring a slab for my grandmother's kitchen addition in North Hollywood, and he couldn't remember my grandparents' name, so we just go, hey, old man, any more? We got any more crackers in there? He called old woman and old man.
Perfect.
And then we stayed for dinner one night. We ate outside, and my grandmother got out a bottle of white wine and poured Russ a glass, and Russ just shot it down, and then he grunted at her and stuck it back at her. And then his brother, the typewriter repairman, was also there getting drunk off of grandma's wine, and at some point had to take a piss and got up with my grandparents sitting outside at a table, walked a little bit away in the yard, just turned his back and just started pissing on the wall.
Right.
And Russ starts yelling at his brother, Jesus Christ, man, go inside. We got the old people here. They got to watch you take a piss. And his brother goes, I moved over here, didn't I? Like he's basically saying, I didn't piss on top of the old people. I fucking got up and I walked 20 feet away, and now I'm pissing against the wall.
Adam, I'm struck with a couple of things here. First of all, I'm still stuck on the Mickey Mouse phone.
Not mine, my roommate's.
Talk into his mouth.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the daily phone. And then also, your choice in friends is... it's pretty great. I admire you.
Russ wasn't a friend
yeah,
as
it's not
much.
A choice.
You're taking him to your grandparents' house.
Yeah, that's true.
What it was is I built my grandparents a kitchen.
Right.
And I'd only been in the trades for like 2 or 3 years.
Which trades?
Construction.
Okay.
And I didn't have concrete finishing as part of my repertoire. I didn't know how to finish a slab.
Right.
I didn't have like a bull float.
So the
Russ did.
The homeless cement guy that wandered down your alley was the correct choice.
He wasn't totally homeless. Like
I know, he stayed on your couch.
His brothers had their place down the alley. They used to argue all the time. Yeah.
Right.
And then he said, and then another time he slept, he had to crash again. Right. And he shows up, he's got a shiner, black eye, right? And he goes, I go, Russ, what happened? He goes, some dude at a bar just punched me. I go, whoa, wow, what happened? He goes, this fucking guy just hauled off and hit me. I go, well, I don't get it. Did you know the guy? He goes, no, that fucking guy just punched me right in the face. I go, well, did he just punch you for no reason? He goes, yeah, just swung on me. I go, did you have any words with him or anything? He goes, I said his wife's pussy stunk.
Oh.
Well, that then sheds some light.
Did your grandparents not question your choice of friends?
They wanted their slab finished. That's all they wanted.
That's all they cared about.
Yeah, and it didn't come out well because Russ he didn't order enough concrete.
Oh.
And we came up short.
Oh.
And it was a fucking shit show.
So he wasn't exactly the expert. Oh, well.
Not really.
That's pretty good. Speaking of phones, so I don't know if this is amusing or not, but for the warehouse, I got a phone booth. An actual
old-timey.
From
Nice.
like the 30s. They used these phone booths from like the 30s to the, I don't know, the 60s or whatever. So
Rotary.
But that's the phone. That's the whole different thing. So the phone booth is a wooden phone booth with the door that you push in, and when you go in and close it, the fan comes on, the light comes on, and there's a little table for the phone book and a little seat to sit on.
Full Get Smart.
Yeah, sure.
Sick.
And if you watch Miracle on 34th Street in the courtroom scene, when they look out in the hallway, not the exact one, but that exact model phone booth. So that's how cool it was. So then the phone that I got was, yes, a rotary dial from, I don't know, the 50s or whatever, 40s or 50s. And so you don't know how many people have come through my warehouse and not known what that thing is. It's terrifying.
Is it all by age?
Yeah.
Is it, anyone under 40 has no idea?
Not a clue. Not a freaking clue. So it's just amazing to me. And that leads me to the Cybertruck. When I was driving here today, so I haven't had it long, and I'm on the phone with somebody, and another call comes in, right? And so I noticed that the icons was an old, like a typical handheld receiver for a phone.
Right.
So isn't there a whole generation or two right now that has no idea what that is?
Yeah, they'll learn it like, a chimp can learn sign language or something. Like they don't know what it means, but they know the sign for banana because they want a banana, you know?
Right.
So, because it could be whatever it is, they'll just memorize the sign and the insignia on it. But yeah, you're right.
We don't know. They don't know what dial means. They don't know what roll up the window means.
Yeah, the crank.
Of course. And the dial was a freaking dial. Here's a little bit of trivia. So this was the phone guy that brought the phone over for me, the expert in phones. So when you put the money in, it goes ding, 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 ding. Did you know there's a different ding for every coin?
No, I did not know.
Oh, yeah. So the quarter was a bong. The dime was a ding, ding. And the nickel was a ding. Do you know why? Because the operator, when you're on a long distance phone call, and they would come on and say, you owe another $2 for another 5 minutes or whatever.
They'd listen.
She would listen for the dings. It was before it was electronic. She would listen to the dings and know how much money you put in that freaking box.
It is amazing that we were so analog, but yet we figured things out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a submarine in World War II.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Apollo 13, when they're trying to do the slingshot, and it's like, and they have 12 guys that have to use slide rules, and every one of them goes, I concur, because they had to figure it out on a slide rule to know the velocity or the thrust or whatever much they're going to use to make the slingshot maneuver. which was nuts.
Yeah.
It is.
Right before calculators.
And obviously more computing in your Cybertruck than all of NASA combined.
In your
back then.
phone.
In your phone.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Jeff's going to hang out. We'll do some news, and we'll do that right after this. Hey, I'm Adam Carolla. That's Brad Williams and Jay Leno.
Hey, buddy.
Over there, we're doing our third annual comedy fantasy camp. That's going to be January 23rd through the 26th, right in Hollywood, California. Where else would it be? These guys are going to be there.
So remember, 2 out of every 3 comics make it big.
Well, 1.5.
Do I get paid for this? Please tell me I get paid for this.
Go to comedyfantasycamp.com and get in on the fun. Him's hair. Men, when we leave the house, we check for the phone, you check the wallet, you check for your keys. But what about the hair? How's the hair look? Are you experiencing a little hair loss? Well, may hurt the confidence a little bit. And you want to get that confidence back. And that's where Hims comes in. They provide a range of doctor-trusted hair loss treatments, chewable, oral, spray, and serum as well. All from the comfort of your own couch. You can just do it all online. Simple, 100% online process. Just answer a few questions and a medical provider will determine if treatment is right for you and which treatment should be prescribed to you. Treatment is sent straight to your door, direct. It's just going to be between you and your dog. No one else going to know about this. No insurance needed. One low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. It's Hims Hair, right, Dawson?
Start your free online visit today at hims.com/Adam. That's HIMS.com/Adam for your personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/Adam. Results vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
All Family Pharmacy. Write that name down. All Family Pharmacy. All about medical freedom and making healthcare simple, accessible, and stress-free. Looking for some ivermectin? How about some hydroxychloroquine? How about some mebendazole or other essential medications? Stock up on ivermectin starting at just $3 a capsule. So when the next poop goes down, you're ready. Customize your order and get it shipped in 2 to 4 days. They even offer bulk ordering to stock up for a full year. The best part is you do not need to see a doctor. Trusted by families since 2019, offering over 200 medications online. Don't wait for the next emergency. Stay safe. Stay prepared. Visit allfamilypharma.com/Adam. Do it today. Once again, that's allfamilypharma.com/Adam.
Come on, what's your favorite Christmas carol?
My favorite Christmas carol.
That's right.
Ain't one that makes me feel joy and hope and a beautiful peace inside.
That's right.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Jeff Dunham is on the Adam Carolla Show.
As for me and Grandpa, we believe.
The music is not part of my special, so
No.
that was a nice addition there. Yeah.
Yeah, the special, by the way, Scrooged Up, it's available on Amazon Prime. And
Yeah, it's our first one on Amazon. It's kind of interesting and fun. But I was pushing for the tape. You know, they did that for a while. When they'd have specials or TV releases or whatever, they'd put it on the tape on all the Amazon packages.
Oh, they would.
Yeah, and then they quit that. I barely missed it. But, man, how cool would that be? Tape all over the world with your face.
Times, God, so many units.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you go to the store anymore? I hardly ever go. I'll go to Home Depot, and that's about it.
I'll go to the Home Depot too, but I kind of like the tactile version, like the low resolution, antiquated version of shopping. Because the thing about Home Depot, okay, I walked into a Harbor Freight the other day.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have anything to buy. I just wanted to wander around.
Sure.
And also, it's nuts. I ended up buying stuff anyway because there's two kinds of shopping. There's here's what I need shopping, and then there's
that's in and out.
Right, but then there's like, oh yeah, I didn't. That's right. Stainless steel tech screws. I don't have any of those. I need stainless steel tech screws, self tappers. You know, so I walk into this Harbor Freight, but it pisses me off because things used to be expensive when I was poor.
Oh.
So I bought a 42-inch and I bought two 42-inch TV sets for Jimmy Kimmel once for his birthday.
Right.
And they were $3,400 each, right?
What?
$3,400 each. Flat screen.
When was this?
This would have been.
Oh, okay. You were saying a long time ago.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I set it up, but I didn't really set it. Things used to be expensive.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
A flat screen that was 42 inches. Was like $3,400.
Right.
And now I got a 75-inch TV sitting in the back of this place.
Right.
And I say to my AV guy, I don't need it. We should just sell it. Or what can we get for it? He's like, it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's got to be worth $500 or something. No, it's not worth anything. And then you go into the big box store and they got 75 inches for $475. And you go to the Harbor Freight, you see cordless impact guns for $14
Right.
and stuff. And I'm like, when I started off, tools were expensive.
Yeah, what? So explain that. Is it supply and demand?
Yeah, I mean, it's
that simple?
It's everything, but I mean, a cordless 9.6 volt cordless Makita with a keyed chuck, not a keyless chuck.
Right.
It was like $120.
Right.
Now you can get cordless impact, whatever, 20 volt all day long, $40, whatever. It's everything is there.
Right.
You couldn't get an aluminum floor jack. You had to run a NASCAR team to get an aluminum floor jack.
Right.
You know, it was $800. Now it's $69.
Right.
Everything. It's China.
Yeah.
It's all it's practically free. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's crazy about it, and the reason I'm angry, is because when I was super poor and I was making $8 or $9 an hour, all this stuff was really expensive.
Sure.
Trimmer routers, plunge routers, everything. Now I'm rich and it's free, and I'm angry. I feel the same way about cocaine. All right, Mayhem, you got some news?
Yeah,
there?
I got some news. Getting dark right here at the top. A chilling video shows gunmen executing Brian Thompson at close range as UnitedHealthcare CEO stumbles away in NYC streets.
I saw this as leading the news.
I saw this on the way in, yeah.
I mean, he was assassinated, right?
Yeah, essentially that's what happened, yeah.
I mean, the guy had a silencer and everything. I mean, it was a hit.
It was a focused killing, yeah, definitely was a hit.
Right. All right, I don't want to see anymore. It hurts my teeth. Somebody was paid to shoot this guy.
Yeah, it certainly appears that way. The shooter fled on foot down an alleyway before mounting an E-City bike on 6th Avenue. So it was a very planned, pretty, good hit, like a well-planned out hit, and he got away. We don't know who it is. We don't know the backstory yet. I guess UnitedHealthcare is taking over the healthcare space now here in America. So that could have been a motivation for the killing.
There's a lot of fucking unhappy campers, I think, with these.
I got to tell you, I was fired up when the insurance denied me for a pre-existing condition a while back.
Oh, really?
A good long time in my fighting career. They told me, oh, yeah, well, yeah, that's a pre-existing condition. I'm like, yeah, but you let me do the fight with this the fight was okay to do, but now that I re-injured the thing, now it's a pre-existing condition. I was pretty mad at the insurance companies. Yeah.
Well, look, it's a kind of a flawed relationship because you give them your money for long periods of time, and then you say, I'd like some of that money back for this operation, and they look for reasons not to give you the money back in the form of the operation or whatever it is. It's kind of inherently flawed.
Yeah, because you put a middleman between the healthcare and.
Well, can I tell you my only hospital experience?
Yes.
It was about 2 months ago now when I almost died.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So it's changed my perspective. Everything almost dying should. Whatever circumstances led up to me being ill, by the time I figured out that it was bad, I had like 103.2 temperature and a horrible, horrible headache. And I said to my wife, this was on a Saturday night. By Wednesday was when I was feeling bad, and by Saturday it was gotten this bag. I said, I've never felt like this. I'm going to the hospital. She goes, that's a good idea. So I got in a truck, drove to the hospital.
Did you yell to the Batmobile, or did you just go to see this?
No, Alfred drove me. What's wrong with you? So I get to the hospital on a Saturday night in L.A. at the emergency room, and I sat in the emergency room for 28 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. 28 hours in the emergency room.
What?
Oh, yeah. And they were administering things to me because first of all, they didn't know what was wrong with me. And so they just started pumping me full of stuff. And finally, 28 hours later, on the 29th hour, I got a hospital room. And they started pumping me full of stuff. In my 6-day stay,
Wow.
I had a full... Here, I got it on my. Hold on a second. This is like too stupid to.
It's on your phone.
It's on my phone because I talk about it in my stand-up. I had. Oh, I can't find it. Here, no, that's not it.
Which dummy talks about it?
Yeah.
It's my stand-up. So I had a full panel of steroids, a full panel of antifungal drugs, a full panel of antiviral drugs. A full panel of 16 different antibiotics. I had 1 CT brain scan. I had 3 full MRIs and one of them with the sparkly stuff to show where the blood's going. 3 different ones. I had a spinal tap. All of this in 6 days.
So you had to sell the Vector to pay for all this.
Yeah. The bill came, and it was so. Literally, interns were telling me as they would wheel me down the hospital corridors to go, stop telling them you have anything wrong with you. Don't even tell them your toe hurts. They will find it. Oh, and I had 2 kidney scans, and another scan full of all the organs. They said, stop saying things are wrong with you because they're going to make up for the people that come in with bad insurance plans.
Yeah. Right. Or no insurance plans.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I got everything. And literally the last day, so on the 5th day, the doctor says, well, you can go home tomorrow. I go, I can. He goes, yeah, your tests are all coming back negative and the inflammation is gone. And we don't know where the inflammation was. What was wrong with me? He goes, well, we pumped you full of everything immediately because you were almost sepsis, meaning I almost died. And he said, so we wanted to make sure you didn't die, but we pumped you full of so much stuff. We don't know how and when we healed you, but you're well. And they didn't know what was wrong, but it was inflammation and the whole deal. And so,
do you ever see the bill?
Yeah, I saw the bill. It was over $100,000.
Wow. You're not worth it. You're like, I cap you at $75K.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was, the insurance certainly came through, but man, oh man, I compliment the hospital for thank them for saving me. But at the same time, it was an interesting experience to hear that from the interns. And how much of that did I need or did I not need? I don't know.
Well, there's just going to be tons of. It reminds me of the movie Raising Arizona. You're going to have disgruntled. The relationship is flawed. Like I said, they got your money. They don't want to pay you the money. You're pissed off. Then there's the part where they go, they're going to raise your rates, like in a car accident. If you report, so then you don't want to report. But in the movie Raising Arizona, Nathan Arizona, I think, was the guy who ran the unfinished furniture place. And it always reminded me of this line that the FBI guy came in and he goes, because his kids got kidnapped, and he goes, you have any disgruntled employees? And he goes, hell yeah, they're all disgruntled. I'm not running a daisy farm. And I thought, I always love that line. But yeah, everyone's going to be disgruntled who has to deal with the insurance companies. Anyway, they'll find that guy, that murderer. They'll give him manslaughter, and then they'll give the blonde guy who choked out the guy on the subway murder 1. I know New York.
By the way, the jury's out on that guy, right? On Daniel?
Yeah.
Jury's still out. Is jury out? Did they get it?
Nah,
I don't know.
I would have reported it if they did come in. I'm pretty sure.
No, but I mean the jury has it now.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
it's to the jury. Yes.
So the longer time it takes, the more likely you're getting off.
Is it?
At least.
Because they're arguing.
Yeah, exactly. Or it'll be a mistrial. So the longer they're out, usually, the better off for the defendant.
How can you convict that guy?
I know.
It's an optics thing, and it's driven by this whole sort of race hustle thing, and it's sad and it's scary. That guy, you got a guy running around threatening to kill everybody and threatening everyone on the thing.
And Super comes in and disables them, and now he's gonna what?
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. It's all part of the hustle. It's all part of the race hustle. That's all it is. If you get caught up on the wrong side of it, you're fucked. Sad.
So
that's what it is.
whenever anything happens to anybody, everybody's going to do what most people do anyway, just walk away, look the other way.
Yeah, there's no more good
luck.
Samaritans.
Yep.
Yeah.
I jump in there.
You
I
would.
still jump in there.
You would.
Yeah, martial arts skills. I just well, I've done this all my whole life, and let me just make sure not to kill this guy.
Yeah,
Jeez.
well, was the chokehold? Well, actually, he was alive after the chokehold.
But what? Did he break his hyoid bone? I didn't look too deep into it. He broke his hyoid. If you apply a rear naked choke correctly, you cut off both their carotid arteries and the guy just sleeps. But if you do get panicky and do it really hard, you break the bone right here, and then they suffocate on their own throat.
That's what happened to Epstein.
It's true.
Yes.
Next up, O.J. Simpson confessed to killing Nicole Brown Simpson on tape, ex-bodyguard claims, but cops say they have no evidence. Yeah.
It's ex-bodyguards are getting a lot of mic time these days.
Well,
Diddy's guys, a lot of guys talking.
Yeah. I looked into this. What happened really, it seems like, and I'm not certain, but the cops started investigating this guy, Avelli, former bodyguard, and they busted him on something else. But during the investigation, he claimed that he had this tape, well, actually a thumb drive of Simpson admitting to killing Nicole and also implicating an unknown third party in the 1994 double murder.
Turns out bodyguards and nannies do a lot of talking after the fact, you know?
Well, it was a little scary.
And between the nanny and the bodyguard, that's 24/7 coverage on you, right?
Yep.
Because the bodyguard's standing out front of the front door and the nanny's inside the house. Bodyguard's standing outside the house. The nanny sees everything you do that goes on inside of that house, and then you walk out of the house and the bodyguard sees everything you do outside. Then everywhere you go, everyone you're with, every phone call you're making from the backseat of the cars, between the nanny and the bodyguard, you're fully covered. And
did I ever tell you I did a show for the sequestered OJ jury?
What?
Absolutely.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh, wow.
So they were providing entertainment for the sequestered jury because they were, locked up for however many months it was. And a buddy of mine, I was working the Comedy Magic Club, and a friend of mine who was a magician said, I just did a show for the OJ jury. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, call up the Judge Ito's office, and I'm sure they'll book you.
94?
Whatever that year that was, yeah. So sure enough, I called him myself, and I said, hi, my name's Jeff Dunham, blah, 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 blah. I love to do a show. And they came back and they said, oh, yeah, the Judge Ito said that'd be great. And, fine.
Please tell me you brought the beheaded jalapeno.
So hold on. So they said they're sequestered, so we'll call you the day of the show and tell you where they're going to be, because we can't tell you now, but we'll tell you in time for you to drive there. And I said, okay. And so now I had 2 weeks, and so I started getting ready. And I thought, I know what I'm going to do. So I built a little Judge Ito dummy. Whoa! Little Judge Ito dummy, and my dummy had a dummy. My dummy was a ventriloquist, and his dummy was the Judge Ito dummy. So I went to clubs all around the country working on the bit for 2 weeks. And they said, okay, so they called me a few hours before, and they said, we need you to come in and run through your act for the 6 sheriffs just to make sure everything's going to be okay, because you don't want to say anything that's inappropriate. I'm like, okay. So I went in, I was supposed to do like 30, 40 minutes, and I went through the act, and then I got to the Judge Ito dummy. Look, there's a picture.
I remember this. You've done it. You did it on TV. I remember it.
Yeah, so I pulled out, went through the act, then got to this, and all the sheriffs just went, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was for the stage.
No
then.
Judge Ito dummy. Yeah.
So you're telling me that the reason OJ got off was because of Peanut?
That's right.
Do you remember? I asked this on an occasion. The trivia of Judge Ito. What did he have on his desk? Now, you made a Judge Ito dummy, and I've asked a lot of people this question.
Was it sitting there in all the shots?
Was it the clackers?
Hold on. Was Jay Moore the only one who knew the answer to this? Yeah, I've asked everybody. Oh, sorry, Mark Garrigus, attorney, but that's because he's inside baseball. He knows Ito.
Not a clue. Could you see it in the television shots?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When they did the made-for-TV whatever, the set dresser had to put this stuff on the bench. There.
What was it?
Give me a hint. I feel like it's in there.
I don't have. Okay, I don't have time to give you a hint.
It's he had a variety of hourglass.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
I remembered it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was somewhere rolling around in there.
Wow. So Jay Moore and you are the only two that
I don't know
could
why I
this.
remember that. Yeah, I didn't.
He had a whole collection of hourglasses.
Yeah, that's right,
Even the guy who built the prototype for the puppet. The Ito puppet, which, by the way, ended up sweeping the nation like Cabbage Patch dolls.
It did.
Shortly thereafter.
Early days of like
But the
Comedy
guy who
Central.
built the prototype, Jeff Dunham, even he, I thought you would have had to get a miniature hourglass and put it on the
I was proud
stand.
of making the miniature glasses. I actually made the miniature glasses for that dummy.
You did?
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you have to make molds and pour resins and stuff?
As technology has morphed, so has my figure making ability. So when I was a kid, it was carving it out of wood. As I grew older, then it was sculpt it in clay, make a plaster of Paris mold, and then use plastic wood dough to make the head.
Now, is it backwards or forwards? Is it like you have the idea for the character and then you...
It's always different. But now what I do is I think up something that, I think this would catch on. I think people would identify with this guy. I think it'd be great. And then I make it. And rarely have I ever just picked up a dummy and said, well, this'll work. But
you using a lot of Dremel action?
Heck yeah. But see, now I went from, the plastic wood dough, then I started doing it in fiberglass, and then when I got high a couple times too many, then 3D printers came out. So now I build the shell of the, that's
you.
So then I build the shell of the head with a 3D printer, but then you have to put in all the mechanics, which is what I'm doing right there with soldering iron and all that stuff.
I know chicks don't care, but I'm impressed.
I think it's
I'm
badass.
totally impressed.
As a craftsman,
that's one of the jokes in my act where Walter, the old guy, says, "Hey, ladies, you want to hear one sentence that no woman in the history of humans has ever said? What's that? Ventriloquist. That's hot."
Yeah. Speaking of Dremels, you know how expensive those goddamn Dremels used to be?
Yeah, now they're nothing.
Now they're free at Harbor Freight. Use a little tungsten blade on there?
Absolutely. Yeah, I had the whole set. I have.
Sweet.
I have.
You got everything. You got the
scars.
sanding wheels.
Well, I have.
You're a builder.
I've almost cut off fingers. I have holes in my hands from holding things while drilling.
Oh, Jeff, he's got the workshop. I love it. I think it's important. I think it probably connects you better to the puppet, to the character, to the process. Like, don't you feel...
Well, don't you like a meal better when you've made it?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's something that people are sort of missing, that sort of build your own treehouse. Oh, get the guy to come in and do the kit, and I'm like, no, do your own.
Yeah, do
that's
yourself.
like, but it's not going to be as good as the guy with the kit and the thing. And it's like, but it's yours. Mm-hmm. You did it. Sorry.
Sure.
I hear
Go
you.
ahead.
Yeah, no stress. So the OJ story is almost a non-story. This guy just tried to get out of something by saying OJ confessed he did not.
Look, he 100% killed her, not because of any evidence-based stuff, but because if there was a person who did kill her, that person at some point would be writing a book, we would know about it. That person would come forward. Yeah. That's all.
There's a lawsuit against New York Education Department to move forward after parents say children were discriminated against. This is a
like,
win.
What? And then I was like, oh, Japanese.
This is a win for Asian parents because a judge ruled a federal discrimination suit against the New York State Education Department can move forward after parents claim that their children were unfairly disadvantaged in participating in summer academic programs. The basic ins and outs of this is they were allowing black and indigenous children to go into this program for free without checking on anything. And then white and Asian students had to prove that they were low income to apply.
Well, let me yell for a second. The problem with all the advance this group and advance that group idea is at first blush, it always seems like a good idea where they go, look, we have less women of color doing computer programming so we're going to open it up and we're going to encourage them. And you go, oh, okay, that sounds good. Like it, just at first blush. And they go, we don't have enough airline pilots that are women of color. I would argue the whole notion is a little bit flawed, like guys who drive NASCAR are white and guys who play in the NFL are black, and I'm okay with it. And I think we're all sort of okay with it. It's just this attracts this group and this background and this set of skills, and that attracts. And you turn on the NFL on any given Sunday, and maybe 11 out of 11 guys on the defensive side of the ball are black, and I'm perfectly okay with that, and so is everybody I know. So it's a little flawed that there's not enough people who look like me who work in this department, or I don't care what my nurse is at the hospital. I just want a good nurse. It doesn't bother me. But all right, we want to somehow even it out. We want more people of this over here and less people of that. Fine. It's a noble notion until we have to start discriminating against people who are qualified to do that job and may come from disadvantaged backgrounds, but their skins are the wrong color, and now we're discriminating against them, which is where this always leads because it has to lead there immediately, and now I don't like it. Now, why we don't see this coming, I don't know, but it's not just a one-way street where it's like, what's wrong with being more inclusive? Nothing until you start holding back people who work real hard, who look different, who should be there.
Sure.
That's when the problem begins.
Yeah, and
so
that's what this lawsuit's all about. And I don't know, we'll see how that turns out. But the lawsuit sought both declaratory. Oh, actually, it went through, and the judge ruled that the New York Commissioner of Education must answer the organization's complaint by December 6th. So we'll have an answer here pretty soon.
All right. Ed Elson, who's a partner on a podcast with our old friend Scott Galloway, is going to join us. He's a writer. He's a podcaster. We'll talk to him in a moment. I want to give a plug to Jeff Dunham. The holiday special, Jeff Dunham's Scrooged Up, available on Amazon Prime. And remember, ladies, he makes those puppets himself.
Yeah. I'm good with my hands.
He's good with his hands, and he's good with a Dremel. Jeff, always great to see you, my friend. Live dates coming up. Planet Hollywood in Vegas, and then Cure Insurance Arena, that's in Trenton. And you can go to jeffdunham.com for events, right? And live dates and stuff like that.
And buy tickets only there, because otherwise you'll go somewhere else like StubHub and get scalped, and it's not a good thing. I'm worth $50, $60, $70, not $800.
Yes, agreed. Like I said, with the hospital, $100,000 for Jeff Dunham. Come on.
But I can still talk, and I'm here. I was very happy about it. They're a lovely hospital.
I look forward to swinging by your shop and
That'd be great.
Kicking some tires. We'll do that. All right, we'll be right back after this. Drowning in a sea of meal kit options. It's like a bad dating game show. All the contestants look the same. Well, that's where Home Chef comes in. Fresh ingredients and chef-designed recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Over 30 options a week, covering a variety of dietary needs. I like the everything bagel-crusted chicken. Think about that. With the lemon Parmesan broccoli. The everything bagel tastes pretty good, but how about getting it on some chicken, man? I couldn't believe it. I've never had this before. It was amazing. Save an average of $86 per month on groceries. That's right. The store ain't cheap anymore. Home Chef Even has delicious, kid-friendly family menus and 18 different options each week for the picky eater in your family. It is picky eater approved. It is Home Chef. Right, Dawson?
For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 18 free meals, plus free dessert for life, and of course, free shipping on your first box. Go to homechef.com/Adam. That's homechef.com/Adam for 18 free meals and free dessert for life. You heard that right. Homechef.com/Adam. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert.
Mondo deodorant. Holidays are here. Time for gifts and get-togethers. Well, you want to smell your best. You want to step up your game. Step up that deodorant game. Mondo. I use it every day. I'm wearing it right now. 72-hour odor control for the whole body. Pits, package, feet, butt crack, whatever. Stomach folds. That's right. I got them all. And they're all smelly. That's why I use Mondo. 3 formats: invisible spray, solid stick. That's what's under my arms right now. Invisible cream. 4 scents: bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, Clover Woods. All wonderful. Clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. That's right. I don't know. I put it on before I leave the house. What else can I tell you? Special offer. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code and link. Just use the code ADAM at shopmondo.com. That's shopmando.com. Am I right, Dawson?
Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers or for last-minute stocking stuffers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code ADAM at shopmando.com. shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Don't let the meat sweats get you this holiday season. Your family and friends will thank you.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts is in the business of keeping your car on the road. They offer friendly, helpful service and parts and knowledge that you're going to need to maintain and do the repairs yourself. Always used O'Reilly. I've used to hit the one up on Foothill when I was in La Crescenta renting a house, keeping that Isuzu Trooper on the road. And they got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in their store or online. So you have, you don't have to worry if you're in a jam. You can go online and get your stuff. You can go into a store and get your stuff. The team at O'Reilly Auto Parts can test your battery for free in or out of your car, which is nice because sometimes it's tough to get those babies out of the car. You need your windshield wipers replaced, brake light fixed, or a quick service? Well, they'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop as well and get help there. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you're going to find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they're friendly. The professional parts people at O'Reilly. O'Reilly Auto Parts. One-stop shop for everything, especially if you're a do-it-yourselfer for your car. In-store, online. You can stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and do it today, or visit us online, O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'Reilly.com/Adam.
So this is August, the stoned pelican hit the buffet before him, or he'll leave you with none. Oh yes, it's Mike August, the world's cheapest man, stole the toilet paper from the hotel can. His name is Mike August. He's the world's cheapest fuck. He'd sell his own grandma for a couple of bucks. His name is Mike August. Stole his brother-in-law's shoes. Such a penny pincher.
Ed Elson is joining us from New York City. Prof G Markets is the podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you find finer podcasts. Good to see you, Ed.
Good to see you, Adam. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, financial literacy and the like. It's a kind of a weird subject, but you tell me, two of the biggest subjects we should probably know about as Americans is health, seed oil and all the stuff we're talking about now, processed foods and everything.
Yeah,
and
I think seed oil is number one right now.
Right.
That's right.
And finance and financial literacy. And it's the two things that are not taught, not discussed, kind of almost avoided. I made it all the way through the LA Unified School District, all the way through the system. It never came up. Seed oil or financial literacy.
No seed oils in schools right now. That's right.
Is it intentional or what is it?
It's a good question. I really don't know. And it's funny that's the first question I get because I'm really not a financial expert. My job is being a podcast host, and the real financial expert is my co-host, Scott Galloway, who I know has been on this podcast. So, it's been kind of a learning experience for me too, because I think the reason that our podcast works from a financial literacy perspective is I don't really know what I'm doing either. I think I'm kind of like the rest of us. I haven't really been taught about it. But, the way that our podcast works is Scott's sort of the expert, and we kind of learn about the financial markets together. And, it's a learning experience for me, and I hope it's a learning experience for everyone too.
Well, we're always worried about the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. And I'll tell you, I do know a few people that are in the haves department, and those people know how to make money. And they know how to leverage money. There's always, you go, well, how do we pay this guy? And they just go the deal. They have deals. They have ideas. And then there's my family of origin who knew nothing ever. And I was like, well, if you'd like to bridge the gap between the have and the have-nots, you should teach the have-nots a little something, because the haves already know 100%. What's going on and they're pulling away.
100%. I mean, I think the reality with money is it's a very taboo subject. We're not supposed to talk about money. It's sort of, you're not supposed to bring it up. It's kind of, you're not supposed to ask questions. You're not supposed to really know how much is my colleague making, how much are my friends making. So I think that's why it's a little bit difficult for us to wrap our heads around this stuff, because we're not supposed to talk about it. So I think the first step, if you want to figure that out, is at least you got to start by talking about it. So that's what I've at least been trying to do with our podcast. We're just trying to get people to talk about it more. I think the more you talk about something, the more you become interested in it, and then hopefully you become a little bit better at it.
It seems like with Trump, the world, I shouldn't say the world, well, maybe the world, but financially, at least the United States, people are more optimistic or more willing to say, I'll make that purchase of that vintage car or that second home or something because I feel more stable now,
feel better,
I guess. And I'd also, the government has a strange relationship with money because they never stop talking about it. And then they also tell you it's not important. It's not the key to happiness. And then they try to villainize people who do have money. And then they explain, we're going to get money from those people and we're going to give it to you because you don't have money. And it all seems very ass backwards to me.
Yeah. Well, I will say money definitely is the key to happiness. It just plateaus at a certain point.
Yes.
But, if you're making a good amount of money, that certainly has a good effect on your happiness. You mentioned the way people are feeling right now. I think it's really interesting. I mean, the way we measure how people are feeling is we have all of these consumer sentiment surveys that the University of Michigan puts out. And that's sort of the standard metric for how are people feeling about the economy. And what's very interesting is if you look at it by political affiliation, basically as soon as Biden was elected, before then, Democrats were feeling pretty bad about the economy. Republicans were feeling pretty good about the economy. Biden was elected, and suddenly it flipped. Suddenly people felt very differently. And the same thing has happened again with Trump. So, I mean, the whole business of trying to get an understanding for how is the economy doing is a very flawed question, because ultimately it really has to do with your political affiliation. Mostly right now, Democrats are actually feeling pretty bad about the economy because they kind of irrationally are thinking, well, now that Trump's about to come in, now it's going to screw the economy up, and now I can't spend like I wanted to before. And the opposite is true of Republicans. So the whole psychology of money is very interesting, but it's very much tied into what's happening in politics, and it's not rational.
I never understood why economics, which you can get a degree in, was so open to debate and not looked at as more of almost a hard science. You know, there is something... Yeah. There is something that's attractive about engineering and construction and that kind of stuff, which is my old world, where you just go, well, you have to span a door opening. What size header do you need? And you go 4x4. And then they go, well, what if there's a second story and you're on the first floor? Okay, 4x6. All right, what if the door opening is 6 foot? It's a sliding door. Okay, make it a 4x10. All right, well, what if it's 20 feet? Well, you got to put a piece of steel in there, or glue lamb beam, or paralamp if you want to pick up that load. Like, look at the calcs. We'll just calc it out. We'll tell you what size header to put up there. And you just go, all right, it is what it is. You can argue all you want about not wanting to buy it. And I never understood why the economy's that way, or is it? You know, because you literally have people go, we'll just print money and then we'll never have to worry about the deficit or whatever. And you go, that doesn't sound right to me. But half the country goes, oh, yeah, no problem.
No, that's fine.
And the other side just goes, well, you just lower interest rates and then you... Why don't we have more hard, fast facts and truths? We've been doing it for 200 and almost 50 years. Why doesn't somebody go, Janet Yellen, that's not going to work. We've calced it out. We put it to the engineers. It's not going to happen. We got to do something else. Like, why all the arguing? I don't.
Look, I'm completely with you. I wish it were more. I wish it were that simple. I think the trouble with the economy is that it's so driven by emotion.
Yeah.
It's sort of the truest reflection of humanity that there is. You know, I was just doing a podcast with Scott, and we were talking about spending money and what it sort of says about ourselves. And the thing that I was thinking, and that I've been thinking about a lot recently, I think the best way to understand who you are as a person is just to look at your bank statement, because that's sort of the reflection of who you are. That sort of tells you, these are the people I care about. These are the things that I'm interested in. And this is all to say, the economy is just a reflection of ourselves, and humans are very, very complicated. And, you know, all of this stuff that we're talking about in the government, it's all driven by narratives. The stock market is a numbers machine, but it's also a narratives machine. I mean, prices go up when people start getting excited about a certain company. If a company starts talking about AI every 2 seconds on their earnings calls, which we've been seeing a lot of recently, suddenly people think, oh, the thing's worth more. But we never saw that reflected in their numbers. There are a lot of companies that, you know, aren't making money directly off of AI right now, but they're talking about AI a lot. And that gets people excited. That makes the stock price go up. The whole thing is just the truest reflection of people, and people are very irrational and they're very strange.
For me, and I know nothing, but I will say, I think the first thing everyone should do is try to own something, buy something, have some land, some property, have something that you own, something you can turn over, create a little generational wealth, leave to somebody, like something, you know. Totally. And that should be everyone's early goal, should be, do not rent an apartment, own a condo, and live there and see it go up in value, which it inevitably will. There'll be some peaks and some valleys, but big picture, it all goes. It goes up. Look, when you go into a steakhouse that was founded in 1929, every once in a while they have the old menu. They go porterhouse steak, 89 cents. And you go, oh God. I always question the wisdom of them doing that because it makes me angry. Because I just got charged $42 for a shrimp cocktail, and I could have bought this restaurant for $42 when this menu came out.
Right.
But
that's right.
It'll go up. Is Shore's porterhouse steak was $1.29 at that restaurant, and it's now $67. That's what'll happen to it. There may be some years in there where it dipped down a little bit or whatever, but big picture, that's where your condo or house is going, right?
Yeah. I think big picture, the stock market, especially the U.S. stock market, goes up. That's definitely an important thing for people to understand. But you brought up the idea that we should be owning stuff, and it sounds kind of trite and simple, but what you say is very, very true. And I'm sure Scott might have talked about this with you on the podcast, but that is really the rift that's going on with my generation. I'm 25 years old. I'm in Gen Z. And the older generations, which is the older generations own stuff. And that's primarily how they make their income. They own stocks, and maybe they get dividends off of those stocks, or they own houses, and maybe they can borrow against those assets. Those generations own all of that stuff. The trouble with my generation is the way that we make our money is through earned income. And increasingly in America, earned income can't really buy you anything. So, you mentioned the cost of housing going up. The average cost of a home for my grandparents and their generation was about 3 times their annual income. And for my generation, it is 7 times our annual income.
So if if your grandparents made $25,000 a year, then they would buy a $75,000 house, and that was about what it was.
That's
and
right.
now it's 7 times.
The median house price today is $420,000. It's at a record high. And the median age of a home buyer, someone buying a house today, is also at a record high. It's 56 years old. So the reality is that assets, as you say, continue to go up. We're seeing massive stock market returns, but income, if you just look at the amount of money that we're making on salary, it's barely moving. And the trouble for our generation is we don't own a lot of stuff. We don't really own houses, and we don't own as many stocks as the other generations. So in a lot of ways, we are getting screwed by that dynamic that you have just described there, which is that it is so much better in America to be an owner versus an earner.
Yes, and things you don't know when you come from poverty is if you bought something and it's gone up in value and you want to buy something else, and you can use the equity against the new loan, and as you brought up, but you'd really, it's owning something and having equity and having it go up. It's really kind of a Swiss Army knife. Like it's not just about selling it and turning a profit. You can use it in many other ways. And I agree. I would have, I live in LA. Junker houses are $1.9 million.
Crazy.
It's crazy. And, school teacher makes $51,000 a year. How's that going to work?
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And it's for a pretty crappy ranch house somewhere in Burbank. And I'm like, what are the kids doing? And when I say kids, I mean you. Or how are they going to own a home? By the way, what are they? Do they aspire to it, or do they just throw in the towel and go, look, I'm going Grubhub, I'm going to go Uber, I'm going to eat gummy edibles, I'm going to watch YouPorn, and I'm going to play video games. And I feel like a lot of young people just went, screw it, I'm going the opposite direction. I'm just going to get high, watch my big screen TV at home, call Grubhub, and call it a life. Yep. I don't want to own anything. I don't want to deal with a car. I don't want to deal with a house. I don't want anything.
That's you nailed it. All of that stuff is a lot easier. But does our generation dream of owning a home? Yes, but I think a lot of us also dream of becoming movie stars and pop stars. It's increasingly becoming a pipe dream. So that's one of my big issues right now. I think what's really interesting that has happened since Trump was elected, is how the housing market has reacted, specifically the real estate stocks like Redfin and Zillow and Compass. As soon as he got elected, all of those stocks declined. And so I'm reading what is the market telling us. I'm trying to remove any biases I may have. What the market is telling us right now with this new administration is that the expectation is that with tariffs that he's talked about, he's going to increase tariffs on stuff that we import into the US. We're going to see higher inflation, which is going to lead to higher rates and ultimately higher mortgage rates. So there's one thing going on here. What makes housing costs expensive? It's one, mortgage rates, and it's also the price. So mortgage rates are going to go up. And the other problem is that the tariffs are also going to increase the cost of goods that come into the US in order to build houses. So we have this 1-2 punch that the markets are telling us right now. The market believes mortgage rates will go up and housing prices will go up. And so the already astronomical cost of housing is just going to increase. That's at least what is expected on Wall Street right now. So I'm very worried about it. I hope that he does something in the opposite direction. He's talked a lot about how he wants to increase housing supply. I really do hope that happens, because the issue is, that there are not enough houses out there right now. We can't afford them.
I suspect he will because he has an ego, and and also because he's a building in formerly commercial building.
I hope so.
It would be nice to get more stock, to get more domiciles, more physical buildings. I mean, yes, we can talk interest rates and we can talk materials, and that's all a big part of it. But at some point, it's inventory, man.
It's inventory, but the materials. I mean, if you're going to build the houses, you need to ship stuff in and build them. You also need workers. So if you've got immigration crackdowns and deportations, it's going to constrict the construction worker market as well, which is going to be a problem. So, look, I completely agree with you. Supply is the problem. We need to build more houses. So what I'm thinking about is, how are we going to do that? How are we going to make it cheaper to build houses? How do we incentivize construction companies to just build more?
Well, Scott and I always talk about the trades, and, as you know, that's a passion of his, and it's a passion of mine as well. So we're going to need
trade jobs and
trades, skilled electricians, plumbers, carpenters, and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's one solution. Like, I'm in California, we need to deregulate a little bit. It can't take
100%
2 years and $1 million to build one unit for a homeless shelter. I mean, at some point we're going to have to reel in the regulation. We're going to have to expedite this, and we're just going to have to treat it like they do in wartime, when they just go, or in COVID times or something. They go, we're going to expedite this. We're going to fast forward this thing that usually takes years and is covered with too much red tape. We have an emergency. We have a lack of housing. We're gonna treat it like the space program in the mid '60s. We're just going for
absolutely.
It. And
we're going to piss some people off. We're going to have to make some compromises. There are going to be some people in those areas who don't want that housing construction bill.
Yes,
I just think about what's happening in New York right now. There's this little garden called the Elizabeth Street Garden, and it's where all these young, sort of hip people get together, and they drink coffee and they read the newspaper and they hang out and they take Instagrams. And the plan right now in New York is to build housing on that garden. And it's so funny. I see all the people my age who are protesting this, saying, no, don't get rid of the Elizabeth Street Garden. That's where I like to drink my lattes. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, at a certain point, we're going to have to compromise somewhere. Maybe you can get rid of the garden that you like to hang out in sometimes and take nice Instagrams. We have to make some compromises.
Yeah, there are going to be some, first world problems, we call it, We're going to have to
another way to say it.
Piss off somebody here on the Coastal Commission is not going to be happy about something we're doing, but tough shit. Right. We have people living in the streets and young families who, the guy works at the IKEA, the woman's a school teacher, and they're going to be renters for the rest of their natural lives if we don't
That's exactly
get
right.
some inventory going. And then all some of it is innovation too, where the workforce can be innovated to a degree. It's not going to take as many people to build an apartment complex as it did through mechanization and innovation and things of that nature as well.
I hope so. I hope so.
Well, I mean, you really you already see it in some regard, because when I used to do it, they dropped the drywall off on the front yard, and then the guy'd say, all right, take the drywall and put it upstairs in the master bedroom, and there's two guys just carrying drywall all day, and now they got the rig with the scooper and the lifter, and they just bring it up, slide it off. It's
exactly.
It is mechanized. Every time you see a bobcat digging a swimming pool instead of a guy with a shovel, it's one guy working a bobcat and 10 guys with a shovel are getting replaced.
Have you seen those videos of in China where you see the Chinese construction setup where they have these machines that build a highway in like a week? And It's like the same amount of time that in America it takes months. I mean, yeah, if we can figure out a way to automate this stuff, I'm all for it. The point for me is figure something out, because the price of housing is just totally, totally crazy. And for people like me who want to own a home and who are young and who need to figure out a way to get our hands on assets and actually own stuff versus just be on a payroll, that's the number one issue that we need to figure out.
Yeah, I agree. And, like you said, we're going to have to shut down a park where people like to sip lattes. And whenever somebody talks about innovation, they go, well, what about the guys who dig pools by hand? Who are they going to work? It's like, I don't know. Sorry. We got a bobcat.
I'm completely with you.
And by the way, if I know history, they'll land on their feet somewhere doing something else.
That's right.
That's the way innovation works.
That's the way it works. It creates more value, which ultimately creates more jobs. I mean, the more we can automate over the long term, it's going to create a lot more value. It's going to make us all a lot more prosperous. And ultimately, it will create more jobs to do. It'll give us new opportunities to do other jobs. That's right. Yeah,
it's funny when very recently when we talked about innovation, we talked about kiosks at fast food places and robots to flip hamburgers, and we're like self-driving trucks. A lot of these guys are going to be out of work. Now it looks like AI people out of work more than it is truck drivers.
Right.
Does that feel about right to you?
I think what we're seeing with AI right now is you'll see a round of layoffs, and you'll see at some, enterprise SaaS company, maybe 200 people were laid off. And that sucks for them, but I'm sure they'll find work elsewhere. But ultimately what is happening is we're seeing an increase in investment in these companies to build out new businesses, and businesses that could only be enabled by having AI in the first place. And so I think what we're going to see is once you have AI agents on your side in a business, it allows you to explore other opportunities in the business world. And I think that's where we're going to see more jobs. But honestly, we're like in phase one of AI. So there's a lot of, doomsday predictions and predictions going in the other way about what AI is going to do. And we haven't really seen real effects so far. Right now, I think people are more excited about actually investing in AI and sort of riding the AI wave than they are actually making money off of the AI businesses themselves.
Yeah, interesting. And again, it's innovation. Innovation initially puts certain people out of jobs, but big picture creates more.
It always creates jobs. That's what we found. Every time there's a new technology, we all think it's the end of the world. But I mean, just look through all of human history. I mean, the fact that we have cars allows us to do so much more.
Yeah,
it's really
but it's also sort of tough shit. Like, my feeling is like, look, we're moving forward. We're human beings. That's what we do. I don't really care about the ramifications. And, you know, we no, I don't. I just mean tough. We're moving forward. That's who we are as a species. And, you know, you hear about it like Los Angeles, I think I was quoting this the other day. Their harbor, their port is like the United States doesn't have, in terms of port efficiency, we don't have any ports in the top 40 or the top 50 in the United States in terms of longshore and efficiency. It's because all the other ports innovate and we don't, because we have unions and our unions stipulate that we don't automate. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so we're artificially retarding our ability to unload goods at the port of Los Angeles because there's some guy who makes $180,000 a year with a high school education who's had his job for 26 years and likes it. And then they're going to unionize, and then we're going to get our asses kicked by Singapore and every other harbor because we won't invest in innovation because we're retarding this process. and it slows things down and it makes things more expensive. And my feeling is, sorry, longshoreman guy, tough shit.
Look, I agree with you, but there's an important distinction here. The longshoremen got what they wanted. And the reason they got what they wanted is because they actually still have the leverage. They said, you know, if you don't give us what we want, we're just going to stop. And it'll completely freeze the U.S. economy. So they had some serious bargaining power. And, you know, that union negotiation actually kind of went their way. Where it's really embarrassing, to your point, was with the writers' strike, in my view. Because the writers said, you're not allowed to use AI. And the Netflixes and the Warner Brothers and all of the entertainment companies said, we're going to use AI. And the writers said, well, then we're going to strike. And they said, okay, you can strike. Because the reality with that negotiation is that the writers actually didn't have the real leverage there. Netflix has a huge amount of content that they can just churn out. And honestly, it was kind of nice for them. They didn't have to be paying writers for about 6 months. So I think that's a very real conversation. It's like every worker should come to terms with the fact, you're going to have to digitize and embrace technology. But there are certain negotiations where some people have more power. And the longshoremen actually did have a lot of power in that negotiation.
Yeah, they did get to what they wanted, to the tune of, you know, like, I don't know, they got like a 60% raise, 40% bump in 5 years.
And they're already being paid very, very well. Their demands were in a lot of ways, I think to people like us, we would say that it's probably unreasonable. But unlike the writers, they had serious leverage there and they had to capitulate.
No, I always would say to people, it's not what you think you're worth. It's what does the boss think you're worth?
That's right.
And that's the person you got to think about, because no one cares what you think.
If you want to get into a fight, you better really, really strongly believe I'm worth this much. You got to have a lot of conviction in that belief.
Well, you don't believe it. Make sure the guy on the other side of the table believes it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Ed, let me give you a plug. Prof G Markets is the name of the pod. Of course, you and Scott, our friend Scott Galloway, as well. Where should people, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find finer podcasts. Is there anywhere else you want me to send people, Ed?
Go check out Prof G Markets. We're also on YouTube, and you can follow me on social media at Ed Elson. It's Ed_Elson_. And that's about it.
Thanks, Ed. It was nice talking to you. Say hi to Scott.
Very nice to talk to you, Adam.
From me.
Appreciate it.
We'll talk soon. All right. I am going to be Saturday in Phoenix at the Hilton Phoenix Tapatio Cliffs Resort. I'll be there with Craig Shoemaker. I'm doing stand-up there. Then Pasadena, then New York, then Solana Beach and Covina and Naples. Also, Jeff Dunham. Jeff Dunham's Scrooged Up is the name of the special. I highly recommend it. That is on Amazon Prime as well. Until next time, it's Adam Carolla, Ed Elson, and Jeff Dunham and Mayhem Miller saying mahalo.